The Warlock exotic chess piece, the Vesper of Radius, continues the trend of ability exotics in the Curse of Osiris DLC. This trend of ability exotics links to the Hunter's exotic boots, the Gemini Jesters, and to the Titan's exotic helmet, the Khepri's Horn. There is a strong similarity across these exotics, all involving their class abilities. The general theme is that by using your ability, whether it be Dodge for the Hunter, Barricade for the Titan, or Rift for the Warlock, these three exotics will release an additional effect. Dodging while wearing the Gemini Jesters on the Hunter will put out a disorienting field around you, and disable enemies' radars. As a Titan, placing a barricade while using the Khepri's Horn will send out a fire pulse wave. And finally for Warlocks wearing the Vesper of Radius, let's get into the exotic perks. Planetary Torrent on the Vesper of Radius states that dropping a Rift will release an Arc Shockwave, and also your Rift will recharge faster when you are surrounded by enemies. Let's see what this all means. Casting a Rift will send out a brief pulse of Arc energy around you. The amount of damage the pulse deals is pretty low, so I tended to treat it more like a stunning effect than a killing effect. Is it useful, however? I would say yes, since you can safely drop your Rift if you're being overwhelmed by enemies. The other feature of this exotic, being that Rift energy will recharge at a faster rate while you're surrounded, is also quite noticeable. Being surrounded by 2 to 3 enemies grants a slightly faster cooldown on your Rift, but this cooldown speed increases exponentially when you start to get surrounded by a bigger group. Being surrounded by 5 or more enemies allows your Rift to recharge at a very quick rate, so quick to the point where your Rift is going to be ready before your first one's depleted. So to summarise how the Vesper of Radius works, by deploying your Rift ability, you will trigger an Arc Pulse around you, a weak pulse, but enough to stun and maybe kill some weak enemies. And while you're surrounded by enemies, your Rift will recharge very quickly. Before we get into places to use this Rift-based exotic, let's finalise the build. The default mod on the Vesper was an Arc Ordnance mod, which isn't really pointing to anything in regards to Rifts, so I changed this out for an Arc Paragon mod. While the Vesper deals Arc damage on Rift deployment, it is by no means bound to the Stormcaller subclass. This exotic is actually entirely subclass neutral, mostly since there aren't any abilities in the Stormcaller's skill tree to take advantage of the Arc Pulse Wave that the exotic provides, so there isn't any particular advantage to using one subclass over the other. This is quite different to the Titan's Khepri's Horn helmet. While it is also neutral, it does gain some benefits from being used with a Sunspot build, so even though the Vesper is neutral, my preferred build was still with the Stormcaller. This exotic is all about your Rift ability, and out of all the different subclass trees we could play as, the only one to provide bonuses to your Rift is the Achievement of Element skill tree. Not only are Rising Storm and Landfall great perks already, but Electrostatic Surge will further cool down your Rift if teammates are nearby, and you will get the Arc Soul ability for yourself and others using your Rift. Arc Souls aren't particularly amazing, but extra damage for free is always welcome, despite how little it is. So this is how I would build with a Vesper of Radius, with Healing Rift for the bulk of activities, and Empowering Rift only for certain fights. Now that we've got the build, where is this Rift-centric build going to be useful? Probably not in PvP. Rifts and Arc Souls are obviously good in the Crucible, but the Arc Pulse Wave your Rift deploys will definitely damage nearby enemies. Given how close these enemies need to be to take damage from the Rift, and how little time you spend surrounded by a full team of enemies, I wouldn't recommend the Vesper of Radius in the Crucible. For some players it might work, if you can survive in close proximity to your enemies, and catch them off guard with your Rift placement, but for me, I couldn't find much use for this exotic in the Crucible. So PvE is absolutely going to be the place to use the Vesper. Getting surrounded by trash tier mobs of enemies happens very frequently, and having healing rifts up every 10 to 15 seconds goes a long way in a lot of hard content. Heroic Strikes and the Leviathan will be ideal environments for this exotic, particularly during the Callus fight. Having Empowering Rifts will massively ramp up your team's damage, and the ability to have rifts ready for each plate just makes it even better. While you're on the plates during the damage phase, your rift should recharge very quickly thanks to all the war beasts around you, so honestly, you shouldn't have any rift downtime with this configuration. Up until Curse of Osiris, I rated the Starfire Protocol build as the best for the Callus fight, since you could easily get rifts back with grenade kills, but now, I think the Vesper of Radius has dethroned the Starfire as my favourite Warlock exotic for the Callus fight. So what do you guys think of the Vesper of Radius? Do you think there's another build worth considering? Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, guys.